Hey, what's going on, everyone? Vega here for SerpentX Tech, and in this video, I'm going to be taking a look at how to set up a Chia node or farmer, and how to connect it to a pool like Find Chia. Now, Find Chia, they got their own Discord, their own members, their own community, and I bumped into them via Discord, and I want to show you how to actually connect it, because a lot of changes have been made since my original videos of, how to actually connect to or create pullable plots with Chia. So we're just going to go through the setup process. I already got a VM set up for you. We are going to need this link right here, pool.findchia.com. I'll have it linked down in the description, or everything that I can link down in the description. But on your machine, we're going to need to go to, obviously chia.net. And in the top right, you'll see download. So when you click on download, there's a couple options here. Obviously, get the latest version of the wallet, which, again, had a lot of improvements to it since my original videos back in the day. But also, not only get the wallet for your operating system, and they have different versions, but also go ahead and grab the database, okay? And get the mainnet database. Here's the torrent file. Obviously, you're going to need a program to torrent. I personally like uTorrent, so I just go and look for that. I don't get the web version. I get the original version. Let me show you how to do that real quick. So uTorrent download, downloads for Windows, and don't click just free download. That will give you the web version. Come down here to Classic. And that's the one that I like. So I download that, and obviously I click the link to get the torrent, which is right here. And then I double click it after I install uTorrent, and that actually downloaded this entire thing. And now it's 59 gigabytes. So make sure you got plenty of space on wherever you're downloading it to. You could also change where you want your torrenting program, and there's all kinds of different torrenting programs out there. You can choose where you want to download the file or where you want it to download the files. But either way, we got Chia setup 1.8.1. We need to go through the setup process, so agree. Usually I do anyone who uses this computer, or only for me, it doesn't matter. And then we got to choose where we want to put it. Now, because this is a virtual machine, we only have one drive right now, but I made sure to include plenty of space on it, so that way I can simulate the actual process, and because we're also going to need to create actual plots, and that is going to require a little bit of time and patience, but I will bring you in during those segments. All right, so right now it's just focusing on installing Chia and then moving the torrented database file to the correct folder, which I will show you here in just a moment. So that's all you need from chia.net for right now, is the wallet file for your operating system and the database. Give it some time to download, and so installation is complete. We're going to hit next, launch Chia, finish, and let that load up. We want it to create the directories we're going to need. So go ahead and load up Chia, let it create the directories. You're going to want to set up a wallet. Obviously, back up your seed phrase, which we're going to do let's do a test wallet for you guys right now. So we're going to choose farming mode, which is recommended, instead of wallet mode. And then we're going to allow private instead of public networks on your Windows firewall, or whatever your firewall is. I like to choose private only. And we want to create a wallet. Now, this is not going to be the wallet we're going to use for our plots, but it is something just to show you how to do it. So when you hit create new wallet, it's going to generate a seed phrase. This seed phrase needs to be backed up and stored somewhere, and give it a name. Like, let's say test Chia 1. Just be careful where you store the seed phrase, but as you can see, it's 24 words long. If we hit next, we're going to have to put it in order, so it's very important that we notate these or write these down. In this case, we're not going to do that. So just make sure you back it up, follow the steps or the prompts to set up your wallet once you have your mnemonic seed phrase. For right now, we're just going to create a brand new one for this video. All right, so here we are. We got our wallet configured, set up. I believe we could change the color of this thing. I don't know why it changed to light mode when I hit the back button, but either way, we need to let this node sync up. We can see the full node status by clicking full node on the left-hand side or top, and you can see we got a long ways to go, but we want to exit this because we already got the database downloaded. So just close this out. It's going to say, are you sure you want to quit? Yes. Let that close down. This needs to go completely away. Now, I have seen in the past where the Chia wallet will get locked up. So this window would stay open saying it's closing down but never actually closed, and I had to force quit it. Sometimes force quitting the Chia farmer can cause more issues than it's worth, so just be careful, but you can use Task Manager to go ahead and close the program. But you can see it has multiple tasks associated with it, including this daemon and a couple other things that you might see that just close right here, the farmer and the user node. So as long as we see that Chia is completely closed, we are good to go. Now we need to go find where it stored those files. So C drive or wherever you installed it, users, your username, and then Chia, mainnet. And then here is the database right here. You can see it, blockchain underscore v2 underscore mainnet dot sqlite. Now we go back to our downloads. We're going to want to copy this entire big file of 59 gigs. Might take your computer a minute to move it over, and paste it here. We're going to replace what is there. Be patient, let it do its thing. It's going to take a minute, especially if it's on a normal platter hard drive and not an SSD or NVMe drive. But we don't recommend using SSD or NVMe drives for creating our plots because you can burn through them as far as their endurance quite quickly. We recommend enterprise grade U.2 or NVMe drives, and there's a whole website that I talked about in a previous video, in one of my original videos, that gave you a couple options as far as decent enterprise drives, and you just got to find the one that fits your budget, and that will be the one used to create your plots, and then you can move it onto a platter hard drive of your choice or an external drive of your choice. But let this, move the files over from where you downloaded the torrent to the directory it needs to be in, and then we're going to open up our Chia wallet. So that actually took only about 25 minutes on my system. It varies obviously based upon what kind of hardware and hard drive you have and speeds that drive is rated at. This is a platter hard drive. 25 minutes isn't too bad. But when you move it over, do not leave the file name the same. The original file didn't have the .gz at the end. It had the SQLite. And we need to remove the date here of March 4th, 2023. This file or this database is stored in this particular directory, as we mentioned earlier. C users, your machine's username or your profile username, .chia, then mainnet, and then DB for database. So make sure you know where this database is, but we need to get rid of this .gz and also the date that we see here, making sure that the file looks exactly as you see it on my screen. We're going to choose yes. And then now we can open up our Chia wallet, which it's still going to need to validate the files and make sure that it syncs up to the latest block, because March is quite a few months from time of recording. So it doesn't have all the latest blocks, but it's a good chunk of it, which should minimize the amount of time we're waiting for our full node to sync up. However, there are some other things that we can do while we wait. And that is to go to the Chia faucet. You can literally just go to it by Googling Chia faucet. And I usually use the main website, faucet.chia.net. You're going to need your wallet address. You can see we already have a decent amount, or at least enough to start our pooling already in here. But just to show you, because some of you might have issues, you put in your wallet address and then you verify or validate however CAPTCHA method they have for you. But if you bump into an issue where it says already sent, that's because it already sent it to a different wallet, different node, farm, or whatever you have on your network. So you're going to need to connect to a VPN if this is on a different machine. If this is your first machine, you should be fine, and it will tell you you're good to go. It won't say already sent. It will say something else like it's been queued up and will get to your wallet eventually. But if you see already sent and you're not getting anything, just connect to a VPN. No point in trying to, spoof the system and keep jumping VPNs to keep getting small chunks of Chia. Not really beneficial in any way or form. But now that we have a balance in here and our full node is synced, and I did have some issues where the node, the torrented file, even though I torrented it a couple of times, was corrupted. It just wouldn't go through. So I had to copy it from a different machine. All in all, the blockchain is going to be 118 gigabytes, so it does take up quite a bit of space. And if you can, try to sync the blockchain to an SSD or NVMe drive. Don't do it to a platter hard drive, because it would take even longer. Your hard drive is going to be your limiting factor, where your internet speeds could sync a lot faster. So now that we have everything synced up, we just need to connect to a pool. So now that's where we go to find Chia, and we're going to go to their website. We're going to need their link that's on their website right here. So copy that link. And let's go back to our Chia wallet. Go to pooling, join a pool, and then we're going to put in the pool URL. And then it's obviously going to, choose a fee. We want as little as possible. It's probably going to take a hot minute for this to actually go through. So just be patient, hang tight. We don't have much in here, and then we're going to go ahead and create. Now, because we're doing this through the Chia wallet or node itself, it's going to go ahead and establish that connection. And then we can actually use the GUI or the overall full node wallet to start creating our plots. So let's let this sync up, do its thing, get connected, and then we'll move on to plot creation. And the cool thing is they actually have the capability of using the MadMaxx plotter and everything built in, some of the features and tools that I showed in old videos inside the wallet itself. So we got BladeBit, we got MadMaxx plotter, which is the latest one, RAM plot. So if you had a RAM disk, but I'm not going to show you that one. We're just going to do MadMaxx plotter. You could choose the various sizes that they offer. I usually just start with K32. K33, the 32s will be available for a while. 33s if you really need to future-proof your system, but obviously that's going to take up more space. And don't forget, it's the temporary space on the drive eats up quite a bit, and then you need obviously more for the final. So we're just going to go with the smallest one, or the second smallest one, the 101 gigabytes, and the temporary storage is going to be about 240. We could set how many we want, and we can allocate how many threads. Now, since this is a VM, we want to make sure that we're not killing this system. But we have 8 cores. I set it up with 8 cores. The main system that this VM is running on is a 12-core, 24 threads. So that should be plenty fine to run all 8 threads. It's really going to push the CPU hard, but it's all fine. Thread multiplier for phase 2, I would just leave that alone. Leave the buckets alone. Leave everything alone. And then we can give it a queue name. If you wanted to, plots in the same queue will run in serial, so one after the other. And then we can alternate, temporary directories if we wanted to. Like if we wanted to have a temp directory 1 and 2, and we could exclude a final directory, all that good stuff right there. But at the bottom here, we're missing some information. And so we need to make sure that our plot finishes right here, or our pool connection finishes. And then we can go back to plots, add new plot. Let's see if it detects at the bottom. We're going to choose our Ivory Lobster is what our plot NFT is called. Let's choose the same one and get some additional information. Let's see here, MadMaxx, Ivory Lobster, plot count. Let's go ahead and do 5 in serial, leaving everything else alone. Because we're on the same drive. Sometimes what I would do is I would use my enterprise drive to be the temp, because that's going to do the most writes, and then the final to be a platter hard drive of choice. Now we need to create a temporary directory and a final directory. So go to your system. In this system or VM, we only got 1 drive. But in here, we're just going to go ahead and create 2 new folders for temp and final. So let's say find Chia temp for 1, and then another folder for find Chia final. And that's where all our final plots will wind up going. So browse temp for the temporary directory, browse final for the final directory. And now we're good to go. We got our Ivory Lobster or our plot NFT in here, so we can make sure we're getting credit for that. And again, it's going to take up 239 gigabytes, and in the end, only be 101 using MadMaxx plotter. And now we're just going to go ahead and create. This is obviously going to take some time to create all 5 plots, so just be patient. But now we'll be able to participate on the Chia ecosystem with our plots once finalized. The goal that most people have is to make as many plots as they possibly can. And so you see like a small household have maybe close to 100 terabytes, maybe only 40 to 100. And then larger operations grow beyond that, where they have hundreds of terabytes, if not petabytes, for larger operations, and exabytes, and so on and so forth. The Chia ecosystem has grown. It's diminished quite a bit since the early hype, but it's grown quite a bit. And we only have 708 gigabytes on this drive total, 539 left. So I won't be able to get away with much on this VM, but I wanted to show you that. And once this is plotted, everything is created. You can see it's already starting on the first one, plotting 0%. This is going to take a while since I'm using a platter hard drive to do it instead of an NVMe drive or a enterprise with high endurance drive, which is what is recommended for plotting or creating the plots. And again, storing it in the final place on a platter hard drive is what's recommended. It's going to take very long. So I will let that ride out. It's probably going to take the next day or 24 hours. If it takes less than that, I'll bring you guys back. If it takes more than that, we'll wrap up and see what actually happens at the pool side. So it's actually been quite some time. I had some unfortunate situation where Lightning decided to take out some of the core components on my system, but we're back up and running. Our node is fully synced up. It does take a while if you plan to store your Chia Farmer or node on a platter hard drive, which is why NVMe SSDs or enterprise grade SSDs are recommended, but we're all synced up. We are pooling our plots, and we got 10 plots going right now. And just to keep an eye on things, you got two options: register or come here to menu, give it some time because it's going to take a minute for your stuff to show up. And since my original recording or starting of the recording of this particular video, we already went up 40 petabytes. But you can come down here on pool statistics and go down to the last page and try to find it by either the first few letters of your launcher ID or by size. You can see the size right here, and just give it some time for it to show up. Now, you don't have to use the plotter that's built in to plot things. However, I'm going to show you a trick to do so. So say we want to use MadMaxx and we want to do the 101 gigabyte. We got our temporary, we got our final, and we even have our NFT, the Ivory Lobster. If you go ahead and hit create, give it a little bit and hit cancel, that's going to help us obtain one piece of information instead of doing it a different way, which requires a little bit more adjusting, so to speak. But if we come here after we started plotting and canceled it, and we go into our C drive, users, your username for your machine, Chia, mainnet, and then we're going to come down here to plotter, you can see there's a log file. And inside that log file will actually be one of the things we need, which is the farmer public key right here. So you're going to want to copy that farmer public key, and then your contract address is actually right here on your actual plot itself. If you come over here to Ivory Lobster and mouse over the question mark, boom, you could copy that at clipboard, and those are the two things you're going to need. And I actually use my NAS to do it because it has an enterprise grade SSD that has high endurance and it's a lot faster. May not have the fastest CPU, but it has a pretty decent hardware and a lot of memory. So I was able to get the farmer key, which I just showed you how to do, as well as the contract address. And all I did was logged into my NAS, downloaded the latest MadMaxx Chia plotter, and edit what was already there. Now, by default, when you edit what's already there, it doesn't really give you much information. And we didn't use the pool key. We used the contract key and the farmer key. And that is just changed up with a -P. Instead, it's -C for NFT pool contract address. And then -F for public key, your farmer public key. And then -D is your final, where you're keeping the plots on. And again, you want to keep it on a platter hard drive or a large storage device. And then your temporary, which is going to be your NVMe or whatever high endurance SSD/NVMe you have. I'm just telling this particular batch file that I want to use the MadMaxx plotter to build 5 plots using 6 threads on my CPU because it's, again, not as powerful as my main system. And I leave the default 256. But all the commands I will have linked down in the description that goes to this MadMaxx Chia plotter and tells you everything you need, right? So N is the number of plots you want. R is the number of threads you want to use on your CPU. If you have a 12-core, 24-thread CPU, use 12 or less. If you have a 6-core, 12-thread CPU, use 6 or less. Don't count the threads as each one. Yes, you could use it, but then you're going to wind up taxing your hardware, which some people can get away with no problem. And again, instead of using the pool key, we use the contract key, which we got from our Chia plotter area. Again, right here. where you go to pool and you got everything connected. You just mouse over the question mark to reveal what the Ivory Lobster contract or NFT pullable contract address is. And in the farmer, I showed you how to get that by just creating a simple plot through the Chia GUI itself, canceling it, and then using the log to identify and grab that information real quick. So it's just a matter of letting this thing ride and continuing to earn Chia. We actually made some Chia already. Here's my spendable balance. Not a lot for only a 1 terabyte of overall storage. That's why people have 20, 40, 50, hundreds, if not thousands of terabytes. And this project was originally conceived more looking at enterprise opportunities where they have all the storage and space and server room allocated, but not really using it. I would recommend also registering with Find Chia instead of just doing it without registering, because so that way you get some more statistics and a dashboard that you can monitor your plots and your Chia farmer and node and everything. But that is how you connect everything. I'm sorry if the video ran a little bit long, but please do me a favor on the way out. Hit the like button, make sure to get subscribed, hit the notification bell to stay up to date, as well as check out some of the links in the description to help support the channel and what we do here. And I will, again, post links that may help you out. If you have any questions, feel free to ping me down in the comments. Otherwise, the community would do our best to get back to you as soon as possible. So, besides that, storm is coming again. Need to protect my devices. You take care. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next one.